Focus.
All right. Hey there. My name is Dana Heitman, and I am a local trumpet player in the Eugene, Springfield, Oregon area. And I've been asked to do a product review for a 1946, I believe, Martin Committee Trumpet. Now, this is a real hot rod. I love the horn. I spent the entire weekend with it. And it does some things that are unique to this horn. Before we get to the playing part of it, let's just take a quick look at it. It's a bare brass instrument, and I think it's gorgeous. It has bare brass valve caps that just feel really nice under the fingers, and the valves themselves are short throw compared to modern horns. There's a couple of ergonomic things that I take exception to, one of which is how close to the valve casings the third valve ring is. As you can see, if you try to put your left hand in a normal position, the third valve slide is stuck out by a good, half of an inch. So, if you're one of the guys who holds the horn like Maynard did, that's a no biggie, no brainer. I guess I just combined two words. This is not going to be a slick, edited together video. This is me talking on the fly, so please bear with me. Now, the repairman who owns this horn, Mr. Carl Clausen, could move this out in about 5 minutes time, and you'd never know that it was in this spot. The other ergonomic thing that I have a problem with was when I went to holding one-handed to do plunger mute work. The thumb ring on the first valve slide kind of sort of gets in the way a little bit. Not a huge deal. And personally, I like a slightly larger pinky ring, but I got used to it, and after I didn't notice that it's a somewhat smaller size. Now, for comparison's sake, I play a Yamaha Xeno that is 11 years old at this point. I bought it in 2007, and it's also a hot rod. As you can see, the ergonomics on it are about as perfect as you can get. It's very comfortable to hold the horn, and I don't know what kind of player will be watching this video, but I don't want to be distracted by how the horn feels in the hand. I don't really want to be aware that there's actually a horn in my hands, because I'm concentrating on not concentrating. I'm concentrating on letting the music flow from wherever it comes from. So, in both cases, on both horns, the valves are smooth as it comes. If you want to compare the two side by side, you can see that the valve buttons on the Martin definitely are shorter. So, and that adds to velocity playing. I'm not a very fast player, but I did notice a difference. Took me a couple of minutes to get used to. After that, it was no big. Okay, now structurally, it has pretty much the same kinds of bracing around the horn as the Yamaha, although it is definitely old school, and that's beautiful. I love that. There is one thing about the bell. If you compare them side by side, it really doesn't show that easily, but the taper to the Martin bell gets wider sooner. Does that make sense? It starts tapering wider about here, where and as a result, there's a tonal difference. I'm not going to say it's cornet-like, but it's definitely got a different kind of tone. We'll go A-B so you can tell what it sounds like. All right, the Yamaha, my usual ride. So, kind of get the idea of what kind of player I am. And the same kind of thing with the Martin. Now listen carefully for the tonal differences. Now obviously there's plenty of brightness available to the sound if you're a lead player like me. I haven't noticed a real huge difference in the amount of projection between the two horns. I guess you'd have to have somebody else, 30 feet away tell you what their impression was like about that. I do most of my playing on mic, anywhere from a foot away if I'm playing high Q sharp in the key of G whiz at fortissimo, or real close to the bell if I'm playing quiet or especially muted. Because the band I play with is really quite loud on stage. So, anyway. Tonally, it just has a more round core to it. It's almost kind of like cotton ball in it. But if you put put the gas to it, it will rip for you. Going back to the Yamaha, do the exact same thing so you can really appreciate the tonal quality difference. So I think the Yamaha has just a little bit more brightness available. Anyway, I was requested to do a little bit of intonation exercises. Now, my Yamaha does unfortunately play a little bit on the sharp side of the pitch, but that's also possibly more the player's fault than the horns. So, I'm gonna have the camera pointed over to the strobe tuner, and I'll start with the Yamaha and show you how sharp it creeps up in the high end. So we'll see if we can get a halfway decent picture of the strobe tuner. So it's pretty in tune up to that point. Watch how it creeps sharp as I go higher. Yeah, that G is really sharp. Now, it's not quite so pronounced on the Martin. And the microphone is much closer to the horn right now. If you're getting very distorted sound, I apologize for that. Here we go. So as you can see, this one kind of goes the opposite direction, but not quite as pronounced. At least that's how it turned out with me. Different players will get different reactions out of different horns, as we all well know. So, for the price that Carl is asking for this horn, it's a decent deal. It is, without a doubt, you can own a piece of history for a fair price. I love the horn. I'm not ready to sell a car to buy this horn, but it's still a nice horn. It does have the Amati water keys on tuning and third slide, and the main tuning slide is out farther than my average, but it's about 85 degrees today here in Springfield, Oregon. And so in order to play in tune with the strobe tuner, that's where it had to be, on both horns. Okay, and that's pretty much my review. I give the horn an A-. I would be a solid A with the ergonomics taken care of. It takes a lot for me to give a horn an A+. So, there you go. That's my ideas about the Martin Committee. And thanks for your time.